I hope you can see me. Hope you can hear me. So I know it's a chilly morning. My name is Dr. Tshepo Moloi. I am the chairperson for the Sacred Heart Alumni Association, something that you will become after you matriculate, hopefully, after you pass your matric. So we are having this session for the first time in this format. Usually we would meet with all the alumni in different classrooms, and then the grade 11s in their groups would then rotate. So this year, it was decided to put you in the same venue, and basically you'll be rotating tables, speaking to a different alumni. They're gonna share their story with you, the careers that they're doing. They'll obviously tell you when were they at Sacred Heart, and whatever question you want to know about them when they were your age, in your year. But most importantly, please ask them as many questions as you would like about their career, about their journeys, because all of them have colorful histories. So you will know that after you matriculate, there isn't a one-way pathway. There's so many pathways, but listen to what they tell you, enjoy the sessions, and please, like I'm saying, do not be afraid to ask as much as you can. I'm gonna hand over to Mrs. Caps, who's going to introduce Afigile.
All right. I have already said good morning to the students, but not to my old students. So good morning and welcome back. And it's wonderful to have you here.
I think for me, the most important thing for me was finding every time I did something I don't like, it never worked out. It never. And every time I did something that I liked, that was my purpose, that I felt, spiritually as well, that this is my calling, this is what I need to do. It's always worked, and it doesn't feel like a job. Like, for example, I could have combos with each and all of you guys the whole day, and it's like, you know what I mean? Other people, it's like, because it's not what they like. But finding my passions and like my thingy is what worked for me. And every time I've stuck to it, it's worked out, personally. Yeah. I think if I understand your question, I think I'm happy to do this. And I think even when I was speaking to you guys, it was important to not mention self-accolades or what I've accomplished, because I think that's not important. The purpose of speaking to you guys is to tell you guys the real truth about what life is outside of these walls. And like, for example, what you want is something very specific, but you look like a guy that has good discipline. Would I be correct in assuming that? From just how you carry yourself, it says certain things, you know what I mean? So I think, if I'm being honest with your question, the most important, it needs to be find yourself, because life is not going to be you exit school, you get into the school of your choice, you get the job of your dreams. It's not that. It's you go through so much of finding yourself, and every journey, every uphill, it's just something you learning new things about yourself. You know what I mean? When you guys leave school, find yourself, put yourself in different situations. Maybe try new friends, finish one thing consistently, because without consistency, you'll never finish. And that's the sad part of life, is that those small things, knowing yourself. And I think the fact that you guys also have this inkling of who you are is perfect, because then that means at least you understand that it's going to be a journey. It's not going to be a straightforward thing. It's a competition. And if you start making the tough choices now, by the time you're competing with your friends, it's all the world per se. It becomes, you know what I mean? It becomes much easier. Does that make sense? Like, for example, if you make hard choices now, and hard choices could be anything, could be extra hour in the gym, could be extra hours studying, it could be a project to just consistently finish something, or it could be even a month of just, I post one thing, just to learn consistency, right? That prepares you for a challenge you haven't yet faced. You know what I mean? And I think that's really, really, really important. Like, you guys are going to see.
Is I never wanted to be an academic. I never wanted to be a scholar. And now I'm almost a professor. It's kind of surreal because all I wanted to do when I left school was go and run. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to do all these things that I'm doing now. I just wanted to run for. So I was an excellent runner for Sacred Heart, and I got a scholarship, a sports scholarship, to go run for the first team at RAU, which you know is UJ. And then that's where the dream started and ended. Because the year 2000 was the Olympic year. When I got to RAU, I couldn't even beat my classmates. Classmates, forget the varsity. That's how fast those guys were than me. And that's when I realized 4 years of my life at Sacred Heart were wasted. Because I was 4 years behind my peers in terms of the track, athletic track. That's a futuristic question. It's a bit unfair. Unfair in the sense that what happened, you moved on. And I guess this is the thing about life after school. You need to take your losses and you need to be able to move on. Don't dwell on what could have, should have, could have happened if I did. You are here now. This is what you have before you. Make the most of it. So I had to look around me and I had to decide with what I had, what can I use to go forward. And I was just privileged that I had a good schooling from Sacred Heart, so I was able to do whatever I wanted academically. That's why I could do all these different degrees and not have a problem. Some people would not have that kind of skill set. They would have a problem. But in the previous table, the one thing I was asked was, but what is the one thing in all these years that you can say stood out? And for me, the best advice to give a young person is you need to understand that being broke is a decision. It's not your parents' fault. It's not your brother's fault, your sister's fault, your counselor, your whoever, your pastor. You need to understand from matric, you need to start having a plan of how am I going to get money. It might not be your career immediately, but you need to start having money, like your money, not mommy's money, dad's money. Because in my history, being broke was the one factor that stood in the way of many things I could have done. But because I never thought about money, I had to do those things later on.
aim to study at the end of grade 10. So what I'm going to do is I want to take a note of your names, but it's fine. You said you're Kyra, right?
Kyra.
Yes, and what do you want to study?
Something to do with psychology and counseling.
Okay. Thank you, Kyra.
My name is Mishka, and I would like to study something in the arts.
So something to do with art. Right, thank you.
My name is Caleb. I would like to study computer sciences.
What, sorry?
Computer sciences.
Thank you.
My name is Opino, and I'd like to study either architecture or interior design.
Right. Thank you.
My name is Lesedi, and what I hope to study and what I hope to do is like study animation. So that's what I'm doing.
Right. Thank you.
My name is Nkanyezi, and I want to study medicine.
Right. Thank you. Wow. Sure. It's quite a variety of careers you want to go into, and wow, quite impressive. Different to back in the day when I was not at school, but way back, we're very limited to the careers, and you guys are pretty much aware of that, eh? So, what I studied business. I studied marketing as well.
Is going to start with the thank yous, and then we're going to listen to Dr. Tsepo, and then we'll have the last thank you. So over to you, Joy.
Hi everybody. I just wanted to thank all the alumni for being here today. All of the advice you've given us and all of the help has really just helped us a lot, because to be honest, me personally, when I came here, there was so many unanswered questions that I had, but then being able to see other people in the workspace and being able to hear their story has really helped me a lot. And I think I speak for all of the students here when I say this. So just a big thank you.
Okay, sure. Good morning again. So I was given a brief of talking to you about money. My brief was really simple. What happens to the matrix when they apply to the different universities, and what happens in those very first couple of months when they get to tertiary? What distinguishes them? And we're talking strictly financially. If they don't come from a home which is affording, if they don't come from a background where they can get their degrees paid off, what happens to those type of students? And so, because I'm only given 15 minutes, I'm gonna try and, like Malcolm X said, make it plain. So I'm going to really just try and speak simple language so that you don't get lost. Number one, you will find it very common that students join queues for funding. In our time, the scholarship that was available was called TEFSA, the Tertiary Education Funding Scheme. And that's the government scholarship, which has now been renamed to NFSAS, which is the national scheme for funding students. So what you find, if you don't have a scholarship, you don't have a bursary, students are going to go join that queue at the financial offices at the university or tertiary where you go. And that queue is a start of your bad financial decision making, because it's a loan. You are basically going to be sponsored by the government to study the course that you are studying, and then you will owe the government when you graduate and you start working. So the day you step into that queue and you get that sponsorship, you are going to be activating a loan. That's what the majority of students that you see in those queues do. Now we are here catching you in grade 11 to tell you, you do not have to join that queue. Join that queue because you want to join that queue, but you've got options. I want you, as your homework throughout these holidays after your exams at the end of the year, start looking at the courses you want to do. And in those courses, start looking for two things. Number one, what scholarships are available for those courses? Two words are very important here: bursary and scholarship. It is a distinction to a loan, because the NSFAS queue, that's a loan. You are borrowing so that you're going to start paying back when you start getting a job. But you apply for a scholarship, you apply for a bursary, you don't have to worry about paying back anybody when you're done. In fact, you will even be employed by those companies that are going to give you the sponsorship, because they want you to do your internship, they want you to pay back that loan maybe by giving them the years they gave you. So if they sponsored you for 3 years, they want you to come work for them for 3 years. I think that's a great deal. You have 3 years work experience, you didn't struggle to get a job out of varsity, and you've got a great CV to go. We don't have enough students taking that path. And what we find, having been SRC in 3 universities, Stellenbosch, University of Zululand, and at UJ, what we find whenever we intervene at the beginning of the year of registration is a lot of the students, we get students who even have 5 distinctions in matric, 4 distinctions, standing in a lone queue. And you're like, what are you doing in this queue? You don't have to be here. But because nobody told them in advance that you actually have options, it is not compulsory that you join everybody else. You have your own path. So where the rationale for this session came from was there was a Sacred Heart student who's a boffin in IT. I mean, this guy can do amazing things with gadgets. And he sat home in his first year because he didn't have funding. And eventually, when he does go to a university, which was University of Pretoria, he tells us he's on NSFAS, which is the National Student Funding Scheme. And in having a conversation with him, I gave him the information to say, go to your university, ask for the finance department. At the finance department, this is student finance, ask them for a booklet of scholarships and bursaries in your faculty. This is not rocket science. It's just information, but you need to act on it early. They will give you that booklet. If you are proactive, you will actually Google the website of your faculty, and you can actually Google these things because things are now electronic. You will find the electronic version of this booklet, and in there you will see the different scholarships and different bursaries that are available to your course. If you're smart, you apply for all of them. There is no rule for how many you can apply. Apply for all, because you don't know where your chips are going to fall. And this is how you help your parents to not worry about you and fees. This is how you help yourself from not having a loan after you finish your degree. And this is how you may even begin to speak to your prospective employees right from first year. So this is very, very important. We want you guys, as a Sacred Heart class of 27? 26? We want you to please, yes. She's sighing here that you guys are going to be matric 2026. So we don't want you guys to follow the crowd. We're doing this with you now because this is why you are at Sacred Heart, to get this information in advance, not when it's too late. When you're applying for your prelims and you're applying to universities and different tertiary institutions, you equally must be applying for those scholarships and those bursaries. Do not wait until you've got your matric results and you say, now you're worried at home, you're not going to be affording, you've got siblings, your parents can't afford. Don't do that to yourselves and to your families. Break the cycle. Take the responsibility. You're an adult at this point. And you will be shocked at just taking this decision, how you are going to have separated yourself from all the stress. People don't even sleep in those queues. They cross night because they didn't have an option. They didn't know there was another way. So please be proactive. And I was going to do a whole PowerPoint, but I thought I'm going to just make it plain because I don't want you to get confused. It's a very simple message. You need to apply for sponsorships and bursaries for your degrees. And you do this in the same time that you have your prelims. Once you get your prelim results, meaning your June results, matric, start Googling for sponsorship and bursaries in the courses that you've applied for. Don't wait until you've been accepted for a particular course. Just apply. And you'll be shocked. Some of your churches can give you bursaries. Some of the companies that your parents are working for have this beneficiary, but your parents don't even know because they were never in this position. So Google information from companies that your parents are affiliated with. You might just shock them. That all you need is a signature from them or a letter from their HR, and you're good to go with a scholarship to whatever university you're applying to. So in my case, to bring it home, I lived in Alexandra Township when I was a student at Sacred Heart. I had no ambition whatsoever to be a scholar. So everything of mine was accident. And I guess it's because of this that I was able to begin to hustle financially. So I never understood this idea of going to join the TEFSA queue. I asked, what can I do if I don't want to join these kids, but I also want to sponsor? And they gave me all the wrong answers and I didn't have time for that. So I saw a poster on campus. It was a huge poster, and it was written, the Sir A. Bailey Travel Scholarship for students who are going to be leaders of tomorrow. And I read this poster and I didn't do all the reading, I just applied. I was first year. I was shortlisted, and then when I went to follow up, I was told, oh, you are first year. This is only from second years onwards. But the seed was planted. So I already knew, second year, next year, I'm applying for this thing again. Cut a long story short, I applied for it in second year. I got it. It took me to Oxford, Cambridge, St. Andrews. I'm second year. Had no money. Had no one tell me about this. but I was already living a life that nobody told me was possible. For various reasons, I decided to return to finish my qualifications in the country. But because I was always in a leadership position, I never had to apply for sponsors or scholarships. So when you're an SRC member, there's something called a rebate. So my tuition, my accommodation was always paid for throughout my undergrad and throughout my honors. Stellenbosch was even more crazy, because they will even pay for you to go overseas as and when you need to do something in the name of your student duties. And when I got to UJ and I became the Secretary General for the Central SRC, they paid my tuition, paid my accommodation, and they were paying me a stipend to be in that position. Now, I'm a bad example of somebody that got through the system all the way to PhD without having to apply for loans or bursaries or scholarships. A standard student must apply for bursaries, loans, bursaries and scholarships, so that at least you are able to then get your financial things in order. So it's very important in financial literacy that you understand that your bank account, we were just talking earlier about the whole idea of South Africa being a credit country. If you don't have credit, you don't have a relationship with the bank, and therefore you're not bankable. You want to get a flat, you want to get a house, you want to get a car, they want to know your credit score. What's your credit score? If you haven't started that credit history early, you are going to be disadvantaged when you now want to begin to do your transactions. So the sooner you start talking money, the better. Because the reality is, when all these 12 years ends, you are now in the big bad world. I always say to the girls, don't date guys because they're rich or because they can afford you. You must be able to afford yourself, and date him because you like him, not because he can pay the bills. Right? And to guys, your pressure is different. Okay? We always find that at undergrad, I was telling the grade 11s of last year and the tricks of now. What we find at university around September, October, is we're going to see girls getting pregnant. We're going to be walking around campus with their bellies. And when we do the maths, these kids were made during orientation in January. Because you were excited, you finally arrived. You're finally at university. You finally have freedom. You finally are no longer with mommy and daddy. You are dressed. So you're joining those girls who are being picked up outside at the gate and being dropped at 6 in the morning. And this is stuff we don't tell you in advance. And when you finally see it, you are already part of it. And it's too late to talk to you then. It's too late. So we're telling you now, before you've even seen any of that please be aware that you need to sort out your funding before you get to varsity. Secure those 2 or 3 bursaries, 2 or 3 scholarships. Like I'm saying, apply for all of them. Don't think, oh, I already got one, I'm okay. No. You'll be shocked at how much, if you are proactive, you could even buy a car with one bursary and the other one pays for the fees and the other one you bank in. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. But you've got to apply, and you've got to do it early. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be coming from some connected family or political family. You just need to act on the information and act on it quickly. And of course, it helps if you are willing to dirty your hands. If you're willing to go and do that internship at a company, it's a small company that needs hands, good for you. You're getting your experience kicking in, you're getting money that at least is pocket money, but it's going to translate into a contract, and you're good to go. Don't sit and say, I'll finish my degree and then. The companies today don't care what you have. They care about what can you do. If we take you now, what's the difference between you and the second person who's got the same qualification as you? So get your practicals, get your hands dirty as early as you can. It can only give you that experience. That's the swear word for graduates who've got the qualifications but have never got a job. That I've been applying, but all the companies say they want experience. Something that you underestimated because you said, I'm going to only start working after I have my degree. The world doesn't work like that anymore. They want that person who has dirtied their hands, has worked and pushed those tills at Pick n Pay, has been a cashier at Pick n Pay, but is a registered undergraduate at the university. Because that tells them you've been ready. You are not saying you're ready. Your track record shows you've been ready. Okay, so with that said, I want to check if there's maybe one or two questions, and then we can close. One or two questions. If it's not a question, it's a comment. I'm strictly giving it to the students, and then I'll ask one or two alumni maybe to also say one or two things that they feel is important. Any questions? Yes. Please speak up.
So for scholarships and bursaries, with putting all of your hard work into it, what if it's still not eligible to get those scholarships? Because there are some instances where
Okay, so what happens if you don't get a scholarship? What happens if you don't get a bursary? So, like I was saying in my table, for all those that were lucky to get me to talk to them, you were lucky. Okay, come on, it's a joke, guys. So basically, guys, like I was saying to every table that came to me, don't fear failure. Failure is an excuse not to become whatever you can become. You have absolutely nothing to lose by applying and everything to gain. So apply as much as you can, get rejected as many as you can, but at least there's no ways that they will all reject you. You just need to keep being persistent. And by the way, I'm not talking to students who are geniuses, students who are distinction students. These things are available for average students, available for ordinary students, students doing okay. Guys, the world doesn't operate the way we are taught usually in this hierarchy of, oh my gosh, they'll give the kids with the top distinctions, then the ones below that, and then, no. The world doesn't work like that. The world meets you at your energy. If you're the earliest to apply, you'll be the earliest to get it. If you're the last to apply, what do you think is going to happen? The world will answer you the same way. So you just need to be proactive. Just be hungry, guys. You've got nothing to lose. And you're going to really be helping the pockets of your family when you do that. So what we found in most of our conversations now, in the past decade, we are realizing that there's something now, and this is a new term, in finance at tertiary. It's called the missing middle, right? So these are the kids whose parents are in the salary bracket where they are too rich for you to qualify to be given a scholarship by the university, or they are too poor for you to qualify. So the category is called missing middle. You are in the missing middle. So you can't qualify for this bursary because your dad or your mom or whoever signed your affidavit, when we check them on the system, they actually are getting $1 million per annum. So you don't qualify because that's your guardian. And yet, this person was nice enough to just be your guardian, but they don't pay for you. So you are in the missing middle. And this is where we're finding a lot of the students that are struggling. They're in the missing middle. Too poor to afford, not too rich to afford. So because a lot of the students are in the missing middle, we had to create a budget, which at UJ we call it a trust fund. At Stellenbosch we call it another name. Different universities will have different names for it. But what we are finding is these kids come from schools where they could have just gotten this information to apply. In the very department where you do your degree, you'll be shocked. Departments have money for their students, but they come with conditions. You must pass, obviously, that's a no-brainer, or you must be having a situation such that you're doing well academically, but you're struggling at home and you have no support. They can actually give you a bursary from the department. That's why I'm saying you must be hungry for information. Check what does your department offer. Check what does the finance division offer. Check what the faculty offers. Okay? And then check the companies that are doing business with the university. Check which of these companies are willing to take students on internship. Because it's a different energy if it's you who has approached the company than if it's the company saying to the department, oh, we want 10 of your students. This happens a lot in commerce, accounting, finance. It happens a lot. Sanlam, Old Mutual, they want certain amount of students from the faculty. They talk to the HOD, and what do the HOD do? They give this to certain lecturers, and then it doesn't get all the way down to where everybody's aware of it. So it's a broken telephone. Meanwhile, there's that student who could have benefited from that. So just know about this, guys, and I think I want to wrap it up. So there's no question, no more questions? That was the only question? No comment? Yes, sir. Norman?
It's amongst our private institutions. So we are looking for students that are looking to go study whatever it is, whatever your options are, but under the private institution. Because if you guys, some of you guys will ask the question saying, why would you and your parents trust private institutions from grade 1 right until 12, but only to switch that and switch the mindset to then go government and say top 5 varsity is where I'd rather be. If you are meant to specialize in something, go where they specialize. So what Success Daughters is we're looking for people with potential, people that have that drive and that hunger, and people that can speak for themselves. What we're asking for you guys to do is for Ms. Caps, for the matric learners, to nominate pupils within grade 11s that are really dedicated to whatever their crafts are. And the reason why this came up is because I was one of those students that wasn't smart enough to have everything across the board, but the potential was what we're now looking into. So we're looking for potential instead of anything else. But the information we'll have when we get to steps.
Okay, so in closing, I'm the chairperson of the Sacred Heart Alumni Association. The alumni will forever be available in your respective disciplines and fields. You must request for them. they won't just magically be available. Ask who's in the arts, who's in the sciences, who's in business. Then we will be able to give you that person, and then you can then take it from there. So make use of the Alumni Association so that you don't always have an excuse of, oh, but I don't know anyone who's in that field. Reach out to us, and so that we can actually be the bridge. Okay. With that said, thank you very much and good luck with your years.
Hi, my name is Reese Wilkinson Felgate, and today we had our job shadowing interviews with some former alumni from our school. Something interesting that I learned was when I often was listening to our alumni, I was discovering that on their first attempts, really, they didn't meet the success that they thought they would. And they often talked about how the path to your success is often not as linear. It's filled with curves and twists, and you really need to love what you're doing to really have that devotion, to have that linear path. But basically, a trend I picked up on was that they didn't necessarily find the success that they wanted in their first endeavor, but they would often branch off and find something similar to what they were initially doing that they really did succeed in.
I'm Nicola Bwasa, a grade 11 student, and I had the privilege today to be met by so many different alumni and job shadow and hear all their different experiences, really. And I think this was genuinely a great experience, solely for the fact that we got to hear what happens next, I think there's lots of fear that is in grade 11 students, even matric students, about applying to universities, what job they're going to get into after the university. And just hearing these different experiences from different individuals was a really eye-opening experience. On top of that, I really got to learn from lots of different Sacred Heart alumni that just being at Sacred Heart propelled them in university in so many different ways that they never really expected. All these little skills that they thought were unimpactful and weren't going to affect their lives whatsoever affected them quite a lot, and they used those different skills that they learned that they didn't really show gratitude towards in high school. And it was just really amazing, and I thank all of the different alumni that spoke to us today.
Hi, my name is Michelle Nkamangeng. I'm a grade 11 student here at Sacred Heart College under the experience of the job shadowing that we just had today. Today I came in with two careers in mind, which were international relations and mainly in the surgery side, cardiology or neurology. And when I tell you all my questions were answered today, and the fact that it was coming from our alumni, such a good experience, so much insight on how the industry works, how to apply, how to get scholarships, how to get the image to go overseas. And I feel like coming from someone who has already been in the space felt more familiar and lively and more at home. So thank you, Sacred Heart, for the experience.
Hello everyone, my name is Sepiso and I'm a grade 11 student here at Sacred Heart College. Today it was such a wonderful experience having our alumni come and explain to us about different careers and how real life works in the working space. Today I came here with a lot of questions and wondering that how can I get more opportunities and how to get experience before I even get into the workspace. I have learned that you need to get mentorship. Mentorship opens so many opportunities for you because you connect with the people that you will work with, and in the future when you ask for different jobs and different opportunities, they will know you and take you in. And another important point I would like to say is that it is okay to change your mind even when you've started what you've done. Sometimes you learn more about what you wanted to do, but it's not something that you really wanted to do, and that is okay, and it's not a train smash. But overall, this was an amazing experience and I've learned so much from our alumni.
I am Lulama Goodness Lamini, an alumni of the school. I am part of the Sacred Heart College Alumni Interim Executive of 2025, working with the subcommittee Institutional Memory. So we are here as the alumni on this day, the career day for the grade 11s. And it's been a very rewarding morning working with the young people, them coming through and just sitting in front of us with very varied emotions. Others are nervous, others are certain of what they're going to study, others are just sitting here wanting to understand what the adult world is all about. So it's been a very informative and rewarding morning, and we'd just like to say thank you to the school and thank you to all the alumni that were here that have spent their morning out of their work day just to give back to the learners. And it's also part of what we spoke to the learners about, giving back as part of being a community member, and also it will assist them, especially where they were saying that they were confused, not knowing what to do, some of them. And we said, no, that's absolutely normal that you so confused. And also given the fact that our young people these days have got so many options that they have to consider. So we found that their options were influenced broadly from parents saying to them, you will study this, or strongly motivating them to study certain streams. What was also refreshing is to discover that quite a decent number of our learners here say that they've chosen their own streams of study, and their parents have allowed them to choose what they want to do, and then they're supporting them in that. There is that strong influence of parental involvement and decision making. We also spoke to them, just finding out the temperature. How are they feeling? And speaking to them as people, part of what Sacred Heart College is about is taking care of the person. Then obviously being an academic institution, we look at that as well. But just wanted to say also thank you to everyone that's been involved in making this day a success.
Hi everybody, it's your boy Norman Ntlapo. I am a 2016 alumni, and I was invited as one of the guest speakers, but also to come experience what the whole day was about. And if I'm being really honest, I'm fighting the tears. It was a really amazing day. I wish this format could have been done during my time, because what I really appreciated about it was the one-on-one experience conversations that we had with the students, the questions that they asked, the curiosity that they have about what's to come. But otherwise, I really enjoyed today, and I think if anything landed, I really hope that I spoke to a younger version of me that was in the crowd, and I hope my message landed that, listen, life is gonna be like this. It's not as figured out as we think it is or that we hope it is, but rather life is a journey. And one thing that you always need on any journey is the right tools and equipments, and Sacred Heart has given me all of those things, and I've never needed anything else. So from the bottom of my heart, I'd rather say thank you to Sacred Heart for creating such a strong alumni, such a strong, well-minded person. To everybody else that's to come, if you guys are realizing anything that was said by all the speakers today, is that, listen, without perseverance, without consistency, you'll never finish. And every journey, whether it is, in whatever category, whatever field, whatever career path you pick, it's tough. But if you stick it out, and repetition is the father of learning, and you consistently keep at it, then you'll be rewarded. Otherwise, you should.